ending. Kirk Cousins finds KJ Osborne for the game-winning touchdown in overtime as the Vikings walk out of Carolina with a win 34-28. Now 3-3 heading into the bye. Welcome into Vikings Postgame Live, presented by Miller Lite. I'm Tatum, Everett, and I don't know if I've quite recovered. I don't know if you've quite recovered from the heroics that happened out in Carolina. Now the Vikings record hits 500. Great news, because we knew this was a must-win situation. And we have a lot to get to in this game. It was going this way and that way, and it just never felt like it was going to end, but it finally did. Vikings big winners today. We will break all the action down. Plus, we'll get to hear from head coach Mike Zimmer. But as you can see, I've got some help today on the set. Vikings legend Robert Smith. And Robert, I'm starting to think we need a doctor on set because of the amount of anxiety and my heart beating so fast. My blood pressure.
Well, let's remember the first two times that we were here this year.
Exactly.
What happened? We had overtime with Cincinnati. We had the game with the Cardinals with the missed field goal, missed 37-yarder at the end. We look at what happened today. Obviously, a lot of things to clean up. But how many times do you end up in a situation like this on the road where you have the block, you have a block punt? You have so many missed opportunities throughout the game. You have a 4th and 10 with a 42-yard completion at the end of the game towards the end of regulation that allows the opposing team to tie up the game with a 2-point conversion. And then you go into overtime and you win. So, yes, there may or may not have been some yelling here in the studio.
A win is a win, right?
At the end, but a win is a win. Thank you very much.
It was quite a roller coaster, and the guy that got us to the high of the roller coaster, KJ Osborne, is at the podium. Let's hear from him after his big performance late in the game.
Well, that's only my second one. So the first one I kept it, and then that one in a dramatic fashion. So my mom been asking for my last one, so I can go to her.
What was the first one?
The first one was in Arizona.
When a team comes back like that, the perception is they have the momentum, and yet you got the ball and run down the field. What made you keep your mind right? Because it looked like you had the game won.
Yeah, you just got to lock in and keep playing every play. Obviously there's big momentum plays. We talk about playing complementary football, so they went down to score. They had the momentum, but it's football. Cancel out the noise, and offense, we lock in, laser focus, and do our job. Go down there and get points on the board and win the game. That's what we did.
Took a little time for them to review. Were you pretty confident you got it in now?
Oh, yeah, I was confident. That's why I threw my helmet.
Could you take us through the third down catch first? What did you see there? That was pretty.
The third down catch was it was a keeper, roll out to the right, and I was the backside like the last read. So usually it comes out pretty quick, but if not, that's probably some confusion going on over there or something. So I had man-to-man, and I went up and stair-stepped and sprinted across the field, and line protected well, gave Kurt some time. He found me there on the back, so that was a big play.
Are you expecting the ball in these situations at the end of games to get the ball? Because Kirk seems to have done this consistently now for him.
I've learned that can kind of happen like a tendency, but what I've learned and taught myself playing under Adam and Justin is to expect the ball every play. It doesn't matter what the play call is and what route I am and what read. I try to expect the ball every play like I'm the number one read. So that way, if it does come to me, if it doesn't come to me, I can do my job if I was open. So that's all I try to do is run every route hard and like I'm the main option.
You guys haven't scored an offensive touchdown in the second half since week one. How good did it feel to kind of start getting rolling offensively there in the third quarter?
It felt good. That's something that we emphasized this week in practice, and we talked about in our meeting room in the last couple of weeks. We got to start faster in the second half, and we got to score points in the second half. So to go out there and do that, that's good. We're going to keep on working.
Did it feel like you guys were chasing that missed 2-point conversion throughout the game? It felt like those 2 points when it was 12-10, kind of not being able to get ahead of yourself the way that you wanted to?
Right. No, I don't think so. There was so much happening in that game, and there was a bunch of ups and downs. I think what happened in the first quarter. Yeah, first quarter. I mean, like I said, there was so much going on. The next play, we can't go back on it. We're just trying to score every drive, so it don't matter, what we did. But to answer the question on offense.
KJ, what were those adjustments that you guys made in the second half offensively to kind of get it back on track?
Well, I feel like we left some plays out there. We all felt like that. Even in the first half, the game was closer than it should have been. Offensively, we felt like we left some plays out there. So the second half, it was a dogfight. That's what we was in. So Dalvin yelling around the locker room. In the first half, it's a dogfight. Strap up. we went out there and we just got to execute. And that's what it came down to, just executing, and that's what he was able to do.
KJ, take us to the touchdown. What are you seeing?
Well, I lined up, and I try not to give it away. So I kind of peeked through my peripheral, see the coverage, and I knew, that corner of the end zone couldn't be open. So I sprinted, didn't get touched. I seen there was me one-on-one with the safety, so I tried to set him up a little bit and planted and sprinted. And I knew Kurt would probably leave me a little bit because there was some room over there. And I turned and it was up. And it was my turn to make a play, so that's what I did. I just made a play. Obviously, it was a huge play, but it felt really good.
So you try not to give it up and go on to you the whole time there?
No, it was I'll probably second read on that because I'm high and Justin's low, so that means the corner was probably down and it was me and the safety one-on-one, and the nickel probably carried Conk out there. So it was, like I said, it was probably me and him one-on-one, but I just didn't want to just give it away, looking around, things like that. So I just kind of lined up in my peripheral and this could do it. So I was able to do it.
Do you benefit from having
big players make big plays, right? And KJ Osborne in his second year has really stepped up.
Yeah, he really has. And remember, we were coming into the season, we were wondering who that third receiver option was going to be behind Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. KJ Osborne comes up with a huge play, the walk-off at the end of this one.
Big deal. Well, let's get to those highlights of the game because, as I said, of course, it's been quite the roller coaster ride. It really got going from the get-go here. You knew Sam Darnold was going to turn it over. You didn't know it was going to be on the opening play.
Oh, this is just a tremendous job by Bashaud Breeland. He's just watching the eyes the entire play here of Sam Darnold. Makes a tremendous break on this football and an excellent job getting the hands underneath the ball and turning the body to complete the interception.
So the Panthers are up 7-6 until Chris Herndon scores his first touchdown as a Viking.
There we go. You're talking about having more options in that passing game. Obviously on the bad side here, great coaching by Matt Rule and his staff. They had a punt block last week. This week they decided to try and block one themselves.
And they get that for a touchdown. They would take the lead 12-10 after that one. 17-12. And so now the Vikings in the third quarter scored their first second half touchdown since the first week.
And look at this run from Dalvin Cook. It was such a good decision to keep him out the last couple of weeks, to allow that ankle to get healthy. Paid off big time with his performance today. And look at this catch by Adam Thielen. The throw by Kirk Cousins had to be placed right there, but Thielen does a nice job with his body and field awareness, being able to keep that one and get the touchdown.
Yeah, so the Vikings with the lead, but here it goes. It just evaporates on the final drive of the play as Sam Darnold finds Robbie Anderson, who really didn't have a great game so far until then. And then they get the 2-point conversion, and we head to overtime.
And after 2 fourth-down conversions, we talk about that was a 96-yard drive. One of those 4th and 10s converted for a 42-yard completion. Sam Darnold didn't do much all day, but he did a lot on that drive.
And Greg Joseph misses a kick as time expires, and then you've got this play. Kirk Cousins to KJ Osborne. It doesn't matter. He throws his helmet. It's a touchdown. Vikings win.
Just a tremendous feeling for him and for us here at the studio, but more importantly, the fans at home that have seen a lot of close ones, too many close losses, but a nice job there by KJ, finishing that play, extending the ball to get it over the goal line.
And here are the final stats in the 34-28 victory. I know, Robert, you had mentioned earlier we were talking about this defense was no joke, and to be able to hang 34 on them is a big deal.
Well, the Panthers came into this game averaging, only giving up the defense 256 yards a game. Look at that. Obviously, there's an overtime period, I know, that counts in this one, but even in regulation, I mean, you're right near 500 yards in regulation. Tremendous job by the offense today. Thought, looking at the game a week ago against Detroit, that they needed to be more aggressive today. That's exactly what they did. They started to take some of those shots early, even if some of those weren't converted, but I think that aggression carried over throughout the course of the game. Tremendous execution, exactly when they needed it the most.
That is the key word, and it's all dialed up by the man himself, head coach Mike Zimmer. He's at the podium now.
Okay, good win today. It was really good to score 34 points against a really good defensive team. They bring a lot of pressure. They make it really difficult for you to run the ball or throw the ball. I thought offensively we started out a little slow, but we got going. It's nice to score some touchdowns in the second half and overtime. And then defensively, I felt like, we got after them all day long until that last drive where they went down and tied it. So we got work to do there. Obviously, the punt block on special teams was not good, but it's a good win, and looking forward to a little time off and then get back to work.
Mike, what happened on that last drive where they go 11-3?
You talking about Carolina? Yeah, well, we had them 4th and 10 at the 4, and they went and spread and hit one down the middle. We didn't line up very good on that one particular play. We should have been a little bit. I would anticipate my guys being a little bit smarter in that situation.
In an overtime situation, when they score last, the team usually has the momentum, and you guys throw it right back, even after missing the field goal.
Yeah, well, it was. I thought the 2-minute drill that we went down and missed a field goal at the end of the game was good too. The wind was a little bit strong, so I knew it would be a tough kick. But they rallied. This team is, they fight and they like to compete. And I thought Cousins played extremely well today. And obviously we had some big plays from some of the receivers. It's nice having Cook back.
What would you say about Dalvin Cook rolling out 140 yards today?
Yeah, I didn't know how many he had, but it's nice to have him back. I thought he was going to break the last run he had, I think it was, in overtime. It was real close to breaking it, and the guy made a really good tackle.
What did you see change offensively there in the second half? I feel like it's 16 unanswered after the block punt.
Well, I thought we stuck with it a little bit better. We ran the ball some. We hit a couple of play actions off the boots. That was big, so we got some big plays off of that. They were really closing in hard on the running game, trying to catch us from the backside on some of the zone plays. So, it's just good. We better on third downs, I thought. Yeah, a guy missed a guy tried to get out too soon and left a hole from me to bob away. It was big. Huh? Yeah, it was a big hole. And
overall on special teams, how do you gauge the day in general on special teams?
Well, I thought we had one poor punt. We had a blocked punt. And we had one good return on a kickoff, and then we had one not so good return on a kickoff. I guess the disappointing part early in the game was, we put the ball on the ground. Jefferson put it on the ground one time. I think Dede put it on the ground one time. We got Cook put the ball on the ground one time. We've got to secure the ball. I got something for him next week. We're going to work on it.
There's been some roller coasters, but overall, what are your thoughts on where you're at entering the play?
We're 3-3. I mean, could we be better? Yeah. Could we be worse? Yeah. I mean, we are where we are, and but I like the resiliency of this team. They fight. I felt like there were so many times we should have put the game away today, and we didn't do that. So we still have to get, where we get to the point where we got a team down, we put them away, and we didn't do that today. So that's something we'll keep talking about, keep working on, and trying to fix.
You ever had a stretch like this where every game comes down to the last play? It's just crazy.
It's called NFL. That's the way it is.
When you see on the final score the pass to KJ, and he's talking about what probably was on that play.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I was watching the protection, to be honest with you, just trying to see if we're, holding up against those guys if they were blitzing. But it was a great throw and a great catch by KJ. And honestly, the catch he made before that, I thought that was maybe even better. But he's been a guy in Arizona, made a couple big plays. I think maybe last week in some of the deals. So when the game's been on the line, he's produced.
Mike, has that surprised you at all? I know you had a real good preseason, good training camp. And what is it like having a guy like him step up when you have Jefferson and Thielen everyone's looking at him?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, give him a lot of credit. He's worked really, really hard. He's a good kid. He practices really hard. He does things that that good pros do. So, but most of it's been about him, and I really believe that, Kirk has a lot of confidence in him now. I did shove Kirk today too, by the way. So I shoved Kirk today. Said I like that or something.
Did he shove you back?
Not today. He didn't.
Like you talk about trying to get that finishing killer mentality. Is it more than just a mentality? Is there something else? I mean, what's more behind that?
Yeah, it's a great question, Dawn. We blitzed them a lot today. And then, 4th and 10, I debated, do we want to go hit this guy or do we want to play coverage? And we played coverage and, but they had 96 yards to go for a touchdown with 2 minutes left. And I'm thinking, let's not give them up a big play right here. So we just didn't do a good job in coverage on that one particular play. We lined up too close to the receivers and, it's understanding part about what we have to do in that situation too. So I got to do a better job of teaching them.
Time for 2 more.
You mentioned the missed kicks and just kind of riding.
Excuse me?
You mentioned the missed kicks and how that's just a part of the game. It's kind of riding that wave. Is that something you kind of learned as a head coach, that just not to overreact to one missed kick?
I don't know. I'm not very patient, but that was a tough win today. Honestly, it was a tough win, and kicking into that wind, and I knew those two were, right on the edge that he missed, I think. But he's done a good job, and so I don't fault him for those.
Like Kirk's confidence level in these critical situations.
I think it's really come a long way. I don't know, you guys know all the stats on second half comebacks or fourth quarter comebacks and all that stuff, and but I know that he's done an awful lot, even since that New Orleans game down in the playoffs. He's done this continually now, and so I think that breeds a lot of confidence in him. In some of the 2-minute drill. We talked about going some 2-minute during the game today too. We went on the ball a couple times, so we didn't really go 2-minute. But he's been really successful at it. Thank you.
A lot of compliments for quarterback Kirk Cousins, who Mike Zimmer said he shoved back as well after last week. So you saw the exchange from last week.
Of course.
So it is nice to see Zim in good spirits, but something that stuck out to me in the press conference is, we're now 3-3. We are who we are. So who do you think this team is now that we're 6 games into the season?
Well, I think you saw a performance at the end of the game today, and they were able to finish the game. And you heard what he said about the team. Obviously, except for that one drive defensively, they had fought really hard today. I think this is a team that can compete for the NFC North and should be a contender for a team that can advance in the playoffs. So you look at the way that we've lost some of the games this year. We talked about what happened with Cincinnati. But that's okay. That's what like he said, this is the NFL, and it's not like these are bad teams that you're getting results like this from. This is a team that will go out and fight. Clearly way too many mistakes. Again, we talked about it. It's almost 100 yards in penalties. But to have a performance like that with the mistakes that you had, the plays that you left on the field, on the road, says a lot about the talent on this team.
No, I do. I like that. Well, let's get into a little bit of the game summary. Robert, we finally have an overtime winner. It felt great to be cheering in the studio this time around. Number 2, one of the big keys of the game, disrupting Darnold. The defense did that today. And lastly, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, both with 100-yard games, 100-plus yard games. And obviously, it's good to see those two guys out there succeeding. So let's start, though, with the disruption of Darnold and this defense coming into today. Last season, I know that sacks were an issue for this squad. Right. 23 the whole year. 21 sacks already this season, and that's because they brought a lot of guys in this year. Yeah, they brought a lot of guys in. Obviously had some guys that weren't playing last year either because of injury or opt-out. But I think what you heard from Mike Zimmer is what we saw today. They brought pressure a lot intentionally. Now, they've been changing up their look, sometimes going 3-man down, sometimes going 4-man down. But I think changing up those looks, changing up the way that a protection scheme has to account for the way that you are lining up, and then bringing pressure from different directions
really had this Carolina Panthers defense or offense confused today.
They did. 2 forced fumbles, an interception, 4 quarterback hits, and 4 sacks. Here's one of them.
This is huge. You see Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr both lined up in the A gaps, but you're going to see Kendricks is going to block essentially this left guard, but Barr is going to drop back into the coverage. This is knowing what the protection wants to do and where the quarterback wants to go. You take away his option to throw the football, and what do you have? A free shot from James Lynch finishing the play.
Big Red out there making some plays.
Making a huge play. And then you have Dalvin Tomlinson and Armon Watts here. They're lined up on the inside of the guards, but then after that initial step, they push to the outside. So the guards are thinking they're going to be bringing that pressure straight up the middle inside those A-gaps right next to the center, but they both go outside, they loop outside, and they're able to get home. So it's a tremendous job using the alignment, understanding what protections are going to be used, and then changing up your techniques and getting to the quarterback.
And you can just see it reflected in this Sam Darnold scatter chart. His passer rating today, 55.6. Not a great day for Darnold.
Not a great day for Darnold. Absolutely not. Now, look, did a tremendous job on that one drive, and you heard Coach Zimmer talking about how they were playing coverage on that one play on the fourth and 10. He was able to make that completion right there. But this is really can be credited to that pressure from that Vikings defense, really making Darnold uncomfortable all day.
Yeah, his receivers didn't really help him out too much either.
Definitely had a few drops out there.
Had a few drops out there, but you can also credit that to the way this Vikings defense played.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, on the other side of things, it was so great to see Adam Thielen have himself a day. He's been rather quiet the last couple of weeks, but today he posted his first 100-plus receiving yards performance of the season, the 21st of his career.
Yeah, and you know, the thing that impresses me the most about Adam Thielen is he just understands how the little things are really the important differences in being able to have those kind of big games. You go back to that touchdown reception where he understands where he is on the field, where his body needs to be, and makes that tremendous catch in the end zone.
Yeah, he had good hands. He was open. And in a day where Justin Jefferson wasn't 100%, he had some drops himself. Adam Thielen stood out to me as the number 1 receiver.
Yeah, definitely. You can see doing it in all kinds of different ways right there. You can see the little quick hitch on the outside, making a man miss, getting down, physical finish to the run. Here they are lining him up in the slot. Nice move to the outside, breaks back to the post on that play, and then is able to haul this catch in. And he does such a tremendous job with his move there, with that stick move to that corner route, creating the separation that you saw right there. And, of course, he was all fired up. 11 catches on the day. Huge day for Adam Thielen.
Yeah, no, huge day for Thielen. And it's great to see, as we said earlier, because he had great plays towards the end on that game-winning drive, but it almost feels like sometimes Kirk finds that one guy on that final drive. Last week, Thielen, this week, KJ Osborne. And it was great to see him actually get a touchdown in this one, too, because, again, he's been a little quiet, but this was good to see. This is his route chart. Is there anything you can take away, maybe from his after-catch? Because it looks like his after-catch ability was big today.
Yeah, his after-catch ability, and that's the thing, again. The little things make such a big difference because it's not just where you catch the ball, it's that initial move, it's finishing a run or finishing a reception play with power after you turn from a catcher into a runner. He just really did it all today in those different kinds of catches and was able to gain the yards in a lot of different ways.
He's also one of Kirk Cousins' favorite targets, and that's been like that for a few seasons now. Kirk with a 30,000 career passing yards. He hit that today with 373 yards. He's the 50th player to get in NFL history, and he just looked great.
And the thing that stood out to me was his pocket presence today. On that last drive, I think it was a second down where he felt the pressure, and I really don't know how, and you could hear it in the broadcast that they were talking about this. Don't know how he knew where the defender was, but he was able to not only escape, but to move the ball in a position where it couldn't be knocked out, gets out of the pocket, and then runs downfield and gets the first down. So I think his pocket awareness, that's something that I think over the last couple of weeks has been so much better than it was in the first few weeks of the season where he just didn't seem like he was sliding and climbing in the pocket naturally, whereas now he seems to be and has even taken off and gotten some yards with his legs when he's needed to.
He's moving around this season. He's leading the team on
throwing his shoe on plays, pushing the coach. What isn't he doing?
Well, what he's not doing is leading the team in rushing yards, because that is up to Mr. Dalvin Cook, who was back in the action this week. Of course, we love to see the cook in the kitchen. And he 17th career 100-yard game. I mean, there really isn't much you can say. It may not be a performance where it jumped out on the page, but it's what you needed to make this offense go.
Yeah, and I think it's the little difference. And they call Alexander Madison the sous chef. He's the second to the cook. But it's those little differences. Cook can make some of those plays that might be 7, 8 yards by Alexander Madison, 10, 15. And you heard Coach Zimmer talking about it on that last drive. He almost made the touchdown on that play. He's just simply a difference maker. He's one of those kind of guys that can turn any kind of play, any kind of run into 6. That's just who this guy is. You look at the number of carries, though, almost 30 carries.
Full workload.
But this, again, I think this is why I say that the coach or the coaching staff did such a tremendous job allowing him to get completely healthy. They wanted him completely healthy. When you have a backup like Madison, you can afford to do things like that, but you know that you want him to be able to carry this kind of load on the road in that kind of tough environment.
Well, on this Panthers defense, their run defense is tops in the league, and you needed someone like Dalvin Cook in there to make all the difference. But also a big shout out to C.J. Ham for his career-long rushing, 29 yards in the game. He looked great out there, but that was also on the drive that led to the Dalvin Cook touchdown in the second half, snapping a 28 possessions in the second half where there was no touchdown. So it was a big drive, and all led there by the fullback. We love to see it.
So you got to give the Ham a bone. That's what they say. Like you want to give your fullback. That fullback's got to have some opportunities. Yeah. And we were asking, and you said, is that his career long? Yeah, it's like his career long by like 30 yards.
He tripled it.
Oh, and he made the safety miss. That was the best part about the play.
Yeah.
Made the safety miss. He made a nice little cut in there. But both that combination, they were both just tremendous. And I think another thing maybe that people don't automatically see, you look at the first couple of runs, the early attempts to run the football, they're trying to go with this outside zone stretch type play, and then you saw that they kept having to bow that. The defense was ready for that. They did a nice job of moving more to those interior runs, getting Dalvin Cook in between the tackles, and that transition made a big difference because you could see what kind of rushing day that they had. They weren't stubborn. They made quick adjustments to what they wanted to do specifically with that run game.
No, that was great. I love hearing that type of insight from you. We have another insight to get to, though. We'll go back out to Carolina for Between the Lines segment with Gabe Henderson, Paul Allen, and Ben Lieber.
All right, thanks, Tatum. PA, I don't know if my collar is so tight because I ate so much Bojangles or because I wanted to scream so much at what was going on the field today.
Well, my hair was jet black into this 2021 season. I mean, look at it now with this Michael McDonald white. Every single thing is a spine tingler. Our quarterback, Kirk Cousins, Ben Lieber, I mean, okay, there are quarterbacks that people would take before him in the league. I get the whole bit. There can't be many playing more cold-blooded than him when it comes down to those final drives and games are on the line.
I mean, look at his play even outside of that final drive. He was phenomenal all game long. I think, you talked about it all week, him having some more control. I don't know if he had more control as far as audibles, but there was a lot of times where he saw something, took advantage of it. Didn't look like it was the play call. He'd walk up to the line, take a step back, do his little hand signal, do something else. So it looked like there was this more latitude and more flexibility to what he could do offensively, and it showed.
Speaking defensively, this Vikings defense only gave up 108 yards in the first half, 102 yards in the second half, sans that 96-yard drive that ended the Carolina Panthers' last drive of the game. But this defense played amazing.
They played amazing. They harassed Sam Darnold the whole game, and that's the thing. You talk about those things going into the week. You're like, okay, their offensive line isn't great. Their guard-center guard combination's a little soft. Maybe we can take advantage. That's the goal. Yeah. They go out and execute that goal. Were they a little leaky in the run game? A little bit. They got tested with the perimeter stuff, and they got hit a few times, but they came back in the second half and were super stout in the third quarter. And I just think that those 3.5 strong quarters really was the difference in the game defensively.
You know what, G, just quickly, we come out of the bye at home against Dallas, at Baltimore, and at the LA Chargers. All those teams are better than 3 of the last 4 teams that we played. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about a walk-off winner in overtime, but Sam Darnold and that offense going 96 yards with 2 fourth-down conversions, and then Dantzler lets DJ Moore get behind him, and they get the 2-point on the shovel. I mean, that stuff like that, if they can fix things like that and these Kareem Hunt long runs on 3rd and 1,000,000, this team is that close to being amazingly good.
34-28, final score today, PA. A lot of confidence going forward. I was very confident in what Armon Watts did today. I think when we turn on the film, him, James Lynch, who had a sack earlier in today's game, we'll see a lot moving forward. And I guess just a lot of confidence from those guys, for those guys, and for fans that's watching on.
I don't know if their left guard, Dennis Daly, got hurt or Armon Watts just knocked him out of the game, because Armon was dominating inside in the stead of Michael Pierce. And good for Armon. I mean, he had, near the end of the game, he had one of the biggest plays, if not the biggest play of his career.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I want to give special mention to Dalvin Tomlinson. I don't know about you guys, but just haven't heard his name being called all that much. I know that he's in there being a disruptor at times, but I thought he came out and had a strong game against the run. He was disruptive. He caused a lot of chaos and kind of doing the same thing that you saw Watts doing. It was the punch. It was the extension. It was getting that separation, riding those guys down the line and making plays.
Making plays. We don't have any plays to make next week because we got a bye week at the perfect time. So, Tatum, back to you because we're ready to go home.
I mean, just seeing PA exasperated sigh at the end just makes me giggle, because I know that we're all feeling that right now. Maybe a week off from our blood pressure skyrocketing through the ceiling. I don't know. But let's get out to the division roundup, though, and see what went on around the league. The Lions continue their struggles. They're at 0-6 now after a 34-11 loss to the Bengals. Joe Burrow, 3 touchdowns today. And the Packers get the 24-14 victory over the Bears. The Bears now have a 3-3 record, tied with the Vikings. And so let's look at those NFC North standings. It's the Packers at the top at 5-1, and the Vikings and Bears at 3-3. The Lions a distant 0-6 behind there. This is kind of how I think a lot of people may have thought this NFC North battle would shake up a little bit, especially after the way you saw this season start out. But, the Vikings right there still in it with a lot of the season left to play.
Yeah, no question about it. But you heard PA talking about it, kind of what's coming up after the bye week. You've got Dallas, got the Chargers. You have to clean up those mistakes. And you heard Coach Zimmer talking about it. Say, I've got something for the team planned when it comes to ball security. But you have to look at those penalties. And in particular, Udo had at least 4 penalties today. Sure. I think there were like 3 or 4 holding calls. You can't afford to do things like that as the season goes on, as you start to play these better teams, and as you're trying to stay in division and conference title hunts.
Bye week is a good time to sit back and reflect on those mistakes, get healthy, and get ready, because as you mentioned, they have the Cowboys up next, and that game returns to U.S. Bank Stadium on Halloween night. I have a feeling things will get a little bit spooky, a little bit weird. Hopefully, it'll be a Vikings victory. But for now, we're going to enjoy this one as the Vikings win today. They beat the Panthers to advance to a 3-3 record, a 34-28 win. Vikings walk away winners. Thank you so much for watching Vikings Postgame Live alongside NFL legend Robert Smith. I'm Tatum Everett, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.